Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Since it is October, I wanted to start with a little Halloween content already. I've seen so many cute Halloween ideas, a bunch of cute Halloween stuff on Instagram, and I wanted to create something. So the inspiration for this cake actually came from a drawing that I had seen on Instagram. I saw it and I thought it was the cutest thing ever. So I decided to recreate my version of it. Okay, so in the footage, it's gonna look a little confusing at first because originally my idea was to do like a 3D standing bottle cake, so it would have been like the whole bottle standing up, you know? But I kind of fucked up, so I didn't cut the cake right and I wasn't able to do that. So I just decided to lay it down. The way it's cut and the way I layered the cake layers together is different than the way that you would do it to create this cake, which I'll explain as we get on in the video, but just keep in mind that my original design was to do a 3D bottle rather than laying down. Yeah, let's just get right into it. So for this cake, I'm using a 10-inch square vanilla cake, and I'm leveling it with my Wilton cake level, and then I'm going to cut it right down the middle so that we can start creating the bottle shape. Okay guys, so please pay attention. At this point, after you cut these two pieces in half, what you would do is just sandwich them together, and then you'd go in and cut out the bottle shape. So that's what you need to do, okay? Now what I did, because like I said, it was supposed to be a standing bottle cake. So what I did was I cut out like a bunch of squares within these two halves of cake. I was gonna like stack them all, and then it just didn't work out. What I ended up doing with all those squares was I just laid them like on their side. So that's why my cake looks the way it does. So next you're gonna cut out the shape of the bottle. I'm gonna have this printable template down below, and all I did was just cut it out, and I also use the same template for the little coffin design that's on the cake. And then you're gonna round out the edges so that we don't have any harsh lines. And then after you've rounded out the edges, then you're ready to start crumb coating your cake. I use the ganache because this cake is super crumbly. So after crumb coating the entire cake in ganache, you're going to refrigerate that for a few minutes until it firms up. And once it firms up, then you can add a second coat. Try to get it as smooth as you can. It doesn't have to be too perfect. And then I went in with an acetate smoother and I smoothed out the sides to keep them nice and rounded. And to stick the fondant onto the cake, you're going to brush the entire cake with a little water, drape your fondant right over, and then start smoothing it out. And you want to smooth out the corners and the sides of the cake first because you don't want those to tear on you. After you smooth out the fondant, you're going to trim off all the excess, and then we can start working on our decoration. So I rolled out a piece of blue fondant, and I'm putting this around the top edge of the cake to give the bottle a lip. And now I'm mixing some blue and green petal dust, and I'm going to dust the sides and the edges of this bottle. And once you've done that, your bottle should look something like this. So now for our fondant decorations, I've cut out the coffin that's in the template, and I'm going to cut this design out. And once you've done that first layer, then you're going to go in, cut the template so that you have a smaller coffin, and then you're going to do the same process. And I had to go in and trim the coffin a bit. So now for the skull, I'm cutting out the skull design that's on the template, and then I'm going to just cut this out with fondant. And for the eyes, I'm using a number 10 tip, and I'm just going to punch those out. And now I'm going in with the Dresden tool and adding some details to the skull. So now for the bones, I've rolled out some gray fondant, and I'm just rolling it in the center because I want the edges to be a little round. And then I went in with my Dresden tool so that I can turn those into bones. And now I'm just using a plunger cutter to cut out a gray heart. And then you're going to stick this onto the cake with a little water. Now to cover up this board, I'm just rolling out some gray fondant and just sort of draping it all over the board. I kind of want it to look like cloth in a way, so you're just going to keep going around layering up this fondant until you've covered the entire board. And now for these spiders, what we're going to do is roll out a ball of black fondant, a pretty large ball of black fondant for the body. And then for the head, you're going to roll out a ball of fondant that's about half the size of the body. And now for the spider's legs, we're going to need 8 pieces of fondant. 4 that are the same size and 4 that are about half the size of the first ones. So we're going to individually roll these pieces of fondant out. And you want to give it a point at the end. And then I went in with my palette knife and just indented 2 lines. Now you're going to repeat the same process for all 7 other legs. Now to group the legs together, we're going to get 2 of the large legs. Those are going to go in the middle, and then 2 smaller ones are going to go on each end. I'm giving those a quick pinch, cutting off the excess, and then curving the legs out. And you're going to repeat this process for the other set of legs. Now to finish off the spider, we're adding a little detail to the head. I'm not sure what these are called, but they're kind of like the spider's antenna. We're rolling them out the same way that we did with the legs and just sticking those onto each side of the head. Now to build the spider onto the cake, I'm starting off with the legs. So I'm using a little water just to glue those down. And then I'm inserting a toothpick where the body's going to go so that the toothpick can support the body and it won't roll off. I'm also adding a little water to act as glue. So after the spiders were on the cake, I decided to go back in with some more petal dust to get a more intense color. And at this point your cake is complete, but if you do want the smoke effect, you're going to need dry ice and a little water. So I didn't actually put the dry ice directly onto the cake itself because you need to activate it with water and I didn't want to get the cake wet. So what I did was fill up a small container with water and then I dropped little pieces of dry ice into there. Alright guys, well that's the end of this cake. If you guys have any Halloween content that you guys want to see, definitely let me know because I need ideas. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you soon.